In a recent video on this channel titled Suzaku's Infamous Hypocrisy and His Role in R3, I spoke a bit about what I thought would be a cool idea for the main antagonist of Code Geass R3. After all, pretty much all of the antagonists we've seen previously have been permanently defeated, so presenting a replacement will be one of R3's primary tasks. I propose that the main villain might be someone who opposes Zero himself. Since then, I've evolved the idea a bit in ways I'd like to share with you now. The idea came from a couple of shots in the Code Geass R3 trailer, in which we see residential areas being blown up. There are even people walking on the street as this happens. This is clearly supposed to look like a terror attack. I don't know about you guys, but I think most people in the Code Geass universe are going to associate a terror attack with Zero, the most ambitious terrorist in history, especially if it's only been a couple years since the Zero Requiem. But if Zero is behind this strike, Lelouch and Suzaku both have no reason as far as we know to launch this attack. It seems most likely that the person harming innocent civilians will be the villain of R3. At this point, no surviving character in the universe seems liable to do something like that. It also makes a lot of sense. Attacking innocent people, upsetting the world peace that Lelouch worked so hard to achieve, all while using Zero's name. Can you think of a better way to provoke Lelouch? But why would anyone want to pick a fight with Lelouch? Well, my theory is that Lelouch kinda started it. Okay, let me just get this out of the way right now. I'm assuming that Lelouch is actually alive. Skip about 20 seconds ahead if you don't want to hear this theory again. So Lelouch got his Geass from forming a contract with C2, but towards the end of R2, he killed his father, who possessed a code. The same power that makes C2 immortal. Normally this gets rid of one's Geass, but his contract with C2 is still active, allowing him to possess both code and Geass simultaneously. Okay, are we all up to speed? Good. So this means he actually survived R2. But what do you think he's been up to since then? Twiddling his thumbs? You think he's just been chilling with C2, laying the pipe all this time? Certainly that's what a sane man would be doing, but not Lelouch. He's too much of a troublemaker for that. You guys haven't forgotten how Lelouch's father Charles obtained the code, right? He took it from V2 after Lelouch attacked the Geass Order, which he did because he decided to eradicate Geass from the world. Seems like a pretty big item on the to-do list to just drop out of nowhere. I believe that, after Zero Requiem, Lelouch began covertly working towards this side quest of his, and that he's been trying to learn everything he can about the power of kings, and probably even combating those he finds that possess it. This would point toward the villain of R3 possessing either a Geass or the code. It's possible that they would use this power, or their connection to C's world, to learn that Lelouch is actually Zero. They could then use this information against him. It also makes sense that for Lelouch, who wields the code Geass, the only threatening opponent would be a powerful Geass user or a code bearer, as that level of power would be required to remove his code and kill him. But why do I think Lelouch bothered going after the remaining Geass users? Well, there are a number of clues in the original series and in the R3 trailer. The first hint is C2's presence. C2 is a character who historically has longed for death, much like my edgy teenage friends. However, it's clear that she's still alive in the epilogue. It's also clear that by the end of the series, even if Lelouch doesn't have code Geass, his regular old Geass is already powerful enough to grant her wish. This implies that she stuck around for a reason, but we haven't yet been informed explicitly of what that is. We can also quite clearly see her and Lelouch riding around on camels in the R3 trailer. Now, it's possible they're just hanging out, having a grand old time, but Lelouch is the type of guy who gets bored pretty easily without a project. I could see a scene where Lelouch acts all dramatic and asks C2 to form a contract with him, and he convinces her to live on with him until the evil power of Geass is gone from the world. After all, both of these characters think of Geass as an inherently negative force in the world. The next clue is Anya, another character we see in the epilogue of R2, and we see her hanging out with none other than Orange. The two probably became friends after Orange erased the effects of the Emperor's Geass, which it was implied must have been used on her at some point, because she consistently reported possessing inconsistent memories. It's unclear what the significance of these memories were, and how many of them were because of Marianne hiding out in Anya's body for like 7 years, but it's clear that Anya is someone who has suffered firsthand because of Geass. She's also a soldier in peacetime, who is a strong nightmare pilot, but always seemed bored and didn't appear to have much of a life outside of her military career. So we have a character with no strong ties to the rest of the world, who has a reason to have a personal grudge against the power of Geass, and whose closest friend seems to be Jeremiah. She's the most likely to run off to join Lelouch's crusade against Geass. In this scene at the end of R2, have you ever wondered why Jeremiah was informed of the Zero Requiem plan? It's clear that he knows about it because he mentally encourages Suzaku despite pretending to try to stop him. However, this isn't really necessary. Even if Lelouch believed that Suzaku wouldn't be able to get past Jeremiah unless the interaction was rehearsed, it would still be easier and safer just to tell Jeremiah to go somewhere else. He could make up a reason rather easily, but think of what Jeremiah would bring to the table in a war against Geass. The Geass cancer would probably negate a powerful Geass user's ability to forcibly remove one's code, which would be the perfect shield for Lelouch. But even disregarding speculation, it would still be a powerful tool against Geass users, especially ones whose powers are unknown. Against a powerful Geass user, Jeremiah would be even safer than a code bearer. Also, I'm sure everyone remembers Jeremiah was working on an orange farm during the epilogue at the end of R2. Well, during this shot of the R3 trailer, we see Suzaku leaping from a crashing train in front of what appears to be an orange orchard. This indicates that he's trying to track down Jeremiah. However, Suzaku doesn't have too much to gain from seeking out Jeremiah. It seems much more likely to me that Suzaku is actually tracking down Lelouch, who happens to be in the same place that Jeremiah is, when he finds this orange orchard. And why would Lelouch be in the same place as Jeremiah? That would only be the case if he needed Jeremiah's unique skills, which he should only need to fight against other Geass users. With all of this in mind, it seems very likely to me that Lelouch has begun attempting to wipe out the existence of Geass. We don't know for certain how many Geass users there are in the universe, or how many code bearers, so it wouldn't be too unreasonable for one to crop up and become a rival for Lelouch, especially if it was for self-defense or personal survival. I also think something requires Lelouch to return in a public way. People who believed he was dead have to be proven wrong. This is Lelouch of the Resurrection, after all. If the entire season was just about a secret war between Lelouch and some powerful Geass user, it wouldn't really meet that criterion. And Lelouch the Demon was a man who changed the world. His resurrection would have global implications, and I can't think of any character better to force Lelouch's return than Zero. So what do you think? It's fun to do a little theorizing every now and then. What do you think will cause Lelouch to return to the world of the living? Let's discuss our ideas in the comments below. If you like this video and want to see more of our content, please be sure to subscribe. And if you like talking to me and Hoodie, feel free to follow us on Twitter. There will be a link in the description.